Hello all, James here. Now, this past Wednesday's edition of AEW Dynamite featured a promo segment between Dustin Rhodes and MJF. Now, the meat of the promo that we're going to be talking about doesn't really matter. We're going to be talking about the end bit of it, but the brief summary is that Dustin Rhodes says he's old, but he's still better than MJF's punk bitch ass, and then MJF calls Dustin a worthless drug addict, and that it's taken him 37 years to get out of the shadow of his father, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, of course. But then here is the salient line. Right after the 37 years shadow wording is that the saddest part of Dustin's whole situation is this.
Now you live in the shadow of your widow baby
So MJF, without saying it, invokes the name of the current WWE Champion and Dustin's younger half-brother, Cody Rhodes. It's the line that kicks off the brawl, and then on to the next segment. All fine, all well and good. Except for one person, apparently. Former WWE referee Jimmy Korderas, of all people, did a tweet where he complained about MJF talking about another company's champion. Great job, MJF, of reminding your audience about the man who was on top in the other company. And then MJF deftly responded with the following. His brother, my mentor, a guy who helped shape me early on in my career. Your old boss brainwashed you into believing you need to treat the fans like morons and pretend other wrestling companies don't exist. You dumb, ignorant, bald, grifting fuck. Respectfully. So there you go. And guess what? MJF is absolutely right. There is absolutely nothing wrong in this instance bringing up Dustin's brother Cody Rhodes' name here. It got heat, it gave them a reason to fight, it got the fans oohing and ahhing by MJF making it personal. He didn't even say his name, by the way, he just says little brother. Personal issues draw money. I mean, Jerry Jarrett had a sign in his office saying that, and he probably would have had it tattooed on his forehead if people would have let him. Now, I've never met or spoke to Jimmy Korderas, and I'm entirely neutral on him. I don't know anything about the guy. But just from his tweet, it comes across as the kind of Jim Cornette wannabe grifting, yelling at old clouds, shouting, "Back in my day," because they want to appear old school and to hate everything modern. Now, I don't like everything modern, and I like the wrestling I grew up with and wrestling before I was even born quite a lot of the times. But this Cody Rhodes complaint absolutely isn't the hill to die on, for one huge reason, if nothing else, apart from the fact that it made complete sense to bring his name up. Wrestlers from Company A have referenced Company B or wrestler from Company B for as long as there's been wrestling. I get that the modern wrestling narrative is that, hey, Company A never mentioned Company B or whatever, and the WWF or WWE would never mention another wrestling company or wrestlers on their television show, but I'll tell you this right now. That's a steaming load of dog shit, codswallop, pushed in a flaming bag through your letterbox by fans who don't know what they're talking about. And let's just go back to the Attitude Era, right? The Rock did it. Steve Austin did it. Triple H did it. Vince McMahon did it multiple times. Jim Cornette did it. All of the commentators did it. Referenced just WCW or God, they had ECW on the show, for God's sake. They mentioned ECW loads. I mean, for God's sake, Kurt Angle challenged anybody in a 4, 6, or 8-sided ring to a match. And do you know what? Right, and I'm sure people are like, well, that made no sense at the time, except it did make sense because fans loved it, and because he was challenging every wrestler and every MMA fighter out there, it made him look better. And all over, and then there's WCW, of course, that did it even more so than the WWF, although eventually to their detriment. I'm sure everybody knows the story. You know, the whole quote of, over on the other channel, Mick Foley's about to win their world title. Pfft, what a joke line. You know, that was a calamity that very much hastened WCW's demise. They were looking at winning that night. That was the last night they had any chance of beating WWF Raw the same night, and they killed it for themselves. But that's taking it too far, a good example of that. But for the most part, it isn't taking it too far at all. It's great and it's exciting for fans when wrestling promotions acknowledge other wrestling promotions and to, quite frankly, just escape the echo chamber in that there's a wider world, and it sort of like gets the fans' minds going. Oh, what would happen if so-and-so wrestled so-and-so? And, you know, just for an example. And also, here's something else. Name one AEW fan out there that doesn't know that, one, Cody Rhodes isn't Dustin's brother, and two, that Cody is the current WWE champion. Everybody knows that. So how does hinting, he didn't even say the name, how does hinting at Cody Rhodes' name make one single person watching Dynamite at home go, oh yeah, Cody Rhodes is WWE Champion. I'm going to turn the TV off right now! Yes, there was a time when the WWF very rarely mentioned outside promotions, but only in the mid-1980s to about the mid-1990s. But this was when Vince McMahon was so anally retentive that he didn't even acknowledge Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, like his prior runs, during his brief 1991 return to the WWF, despite that Ricky was a multi-time WCW champion in 89, and he was also WWF Intercontinental Champion in 87 on the most famous show of all time, WrestleMania 3. The reason why that happened was because Vince McMahon was, and still is, a madman. MJF is right. Jimmy Korderas is completely wrong. It's insulting to the fans, who all have internets on their telephones, that there isn't a wider world outside AEW. And remember, a few weeks ago, Seth Rollins and CM Punk had a promo battle where Seth strongly hinted that Punk got into a fight with the Young Bucks and that he flopped in AEW and he was a washout and he had to come crawling back to WWE. That was invoking, without saying it, other people and another wrestling promotion. Was Jimmy complaining about that? And should WWE have done it? I mean, I'm not going to go back and waste my time trying to find out the answer, but I suspect probably not. So I'm all for bashing any company and any wrestler when they deserve it, and this is absolutely not one of those circumstances. So well done, MJF, you're completely right on this one. Like, comment, subscribe, good for the channel, me go now.